Hello there, welcome to Talking Balearics with me, Martin Makepeace. Still not in Ibiza, and I'm not quite sure when I'm going to get back, Richie, to be fair, but it's just the way it is at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
No,
Think about that,
hello,
actually.
Rich. Hello, Rich. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
Although I have got that to talk about today in our little blog. So that'd be interesting.
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a disaster because I was supposed to be coming back on Thursday via Kuala Lumpur and Ahmedabad, believe it or not. So I'm not quite sure I'm going to get back, Rich, but I'll worry about that later. This is not talking the world, is it? This is talking Balearics.
It is talking about Balearics. So what you got for me, Mark?
But listen, how is Mallorca before we go on to that, Rich? Are you looks a bit grey behind you?
Well, Mallorca, we thought, if you remember last week, we thought spring had sprung, and we were all looking forward to, warmer days, blue skies, and everything. And you're right, yeah, it's gone overcast for the last couple of days actually here, and then on Thursday they're predicting rain for about 4 days. So
I saw there's a storm coming in, isn't there? So okay, interesting. Now. Talking Balearics this week, Rich, got a few things for you. I have got a blog today about it, but I just want to go through it. Trouble at Mill, I'm afraid, for in the immigration camp here in Ibiza. A little bit of news about property rentals, which we tend to go on. I'm a bit of a rental geek and a property geek, so just the latest report has come out today about property rentals in the Balearics. So I want to go into that. Also, there was something in the paper last week about the Mess per Mallorca, those lovely people in your neck of the woods, proposing that non-residents can't buy houses. I just want to go into that. I blogged about it, but I just want to go into it because I think it's worth talking about. And a little bit of a UNVRS announcement, Rich. And that's my lot this week.
I wanted to talk about the so-called war in Iran now, and the effects it might have on the Balearics and beyond, because I think it's very important, particularly from a tourism point of view. And then a little bit more of an elongated chat about football, because something obviously happened to Mallorca literally as I think we finished our blog last week, more or less. So wanted to talk about that. And,
it happened literally 10 minutes after put the podcast finished. It came through on my email. So we'll go into that in a bit more detail.
And a little bit of a charity thing that I'm doing that I've just released over the weekend as well, which could be quite interesting.
Okay. I saw that on your Facebook over the weekend. Two things as well before a lot of love from me, Rich. I like to put. I'll be first to donate. You know that. Two things as well before I forget, Rich. You never told me the DJ story from last week, so I want to hear that. Okay.
Oh yes, you're right. I didn't. Yes.
And secondly, I want to ask you about a certain pub in Magaluf Calvia that I messaged you about this week as well. So
Can I tell you the DJ story now?
Go on.
Otherwise, I'll forget.
Yeah, no. The thing is, when I was editing last week's pod, there was two things. I said one thing which I forgot all about to mention, and you said that one as well. So tell me the DJ story, mate.
So, as you know, I work on radio. I host the breakfast show on Wave Mallorca, weekday 7 till 10. And as part of the sponsorship deal that we have with Motor World is myself and another DJ at a breakfast club every Sunday morning from 10 until, well, I DJ 10 till 12 and he DJs 12 till 2. Now, Chris Marina, who's the other DJ, is what you call a proper DJ, I'm just a presenter that could, play a few tunes every now and again. So anyway,
you've got a face for radio, though, Rich. Let's face it.
Definitely. Oh yes, definitely. And a couple of weeks ago, a lady came up and says, "Do you do private parties?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not the one to talk to. You need to talk to the lady over there in the white shirt. She's the one that deals with all the restaurant bookings and everything else. I'm not even employed here. I just DJ as part of something else that I do." And then she reiterated her saying, "No, do you do private parties?" And I said, "Do you mean you want me to play some music at a party? She said, yes. She said, I love your music. I think it's fantastic. And I'd like you to DJ at a party for us. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So anyway, I asked her to explain a little bit more, and it's for her mother's 80th birthday.
In that case, your record collection will be perfect for that, won't it?
Mate, can you imagine? There you go.
Forget your universe. I hope you accepted the booking, Richie.
Well, I have spoken to her since, and we're just waiting on confirmation, Mark.
I'm going to crash that party, Rich, because I can't wait to see you. But build me up, build me up, Buttercup in the first 5 minutes. Listen, I'll send you my Benidorm mix over, Rich. I think it'd be perfect for you.
Thanks, mate. There you go. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, I'm there, mate.
Well, Rich, let's start on a little bit more serious news today, Rich, because yesterday, which was Tuesday the 2nd of March for people who are listening to this podcast a little bit late, there was a bit of an uprising in the migrant centre in Ibiza town. So just to go into a bit of detail, Sakoma, which is on the main road, for those people who know Ibiza, on the main road between San Antonio and Ibiza town, there's a big supermarket called Hypercentro. Opposite that is Sakoma. It used to be the army barracks. You know, when military services were in operation in Spain, it was the army barracks. I can remember when I was a kid over here, seeing all the soldiers coming out at weekends. It's now changed into a migration centre, Rich, and it's where the unaccompanied minors are. Okay, so it's more or less a children's home, for want of a better terminology. Mm-hmm. Please correct me if there's a better terminology. It's a children's home, and basically, Rich, it's suitable for 44 children, and at the moment there is 100 and I think just over 100 and something in there, including 60 unaccompanied minors from the migrant boats. Okay. And yesterday, the 2nd of March, there was a big fight, a big off. 28 children were involved, big fight. And one of the teachers got involved, tried to split it up, and she's seriously damaged her arm, which probably means she's going to be off work for 6 to 12 months, I would imagine, on the backer, as we say over here. And it just, Rich, it's like I blogged about it today. It's like the elephant in the Ibiza room. We don't talk about it, do we? I know I do on the podcast, but I don't think anyone else does. I think we tend to just put it in the corner and forget about it. But, you know, when these things happen, it's a real reminder that this is a problem. Now, the numbers are quite shocking, Rich, because over 3,000 people came to the Balearic Islands on boats last year. And already we're only, just the first week of March, there's over nearly 400 arrived this year so far. So this is a problem that's not going away, Rich. Need to find solutions to the problem, if there is one. And it's almost something that we don't talk about a lot. You know, I don't like talking about it, Rich. I'd rather do little happy clappy songs, but I just think if it's in the news, we need to report on it. And I think it's our duty to report on the bad things as well as the good things.
Now, can I just check that this is a children's home? So it's mixed between migrant children and children that are homeless in Ibiza as well?
Yes, mate. That's exactly right. Okay. So I think you've got... Yeah, I think you've got the people of the island who for whatever reason need looking after by social services, and you've got the unaccompanied minors that have come through on the boats. So they're all in together, Rich. And as I said, it was for 44 people, and now there's 109 people at the centre. So you know, and as I say, it's not going to slow down, is it, Rich? So. And remember, we reported on it before, Rich. There was a standoff between central government and the Balearic Islands, because central government are the left-leaning PSOE and the Balearic Islands are the right-leaning PP, Partido Popular. So there's a bit of a standoff, and I haven't got. It's the age-old question, Rich. We haven't got a solution to the problem, but it's just I think we need to start talking about it, because let me get this right, Rich. So. Let's have a look. In 2012, since January, 468 migrants have arrived on 27 boats, and last Saturday, 32 people arrived alone. So all predominantly North African. They come over from Algeria, Morocco, looking for a better life. I mean, they're economic migrants, for want of a better word, Rich, looking for a better life. But what's the solution, Richie? Come on. That's the $64,000 question, isn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously, I don't think the islands are a solution. I mean, I'm just trying to pass the buck here, but we're
Yeah.
obviously very, very, very small. We only have we know we've got problems with housing at the best of times. You know what I mean? Just for our own people, let alone anybody else that's trying to come along as well. So, surely there's better places on the mainland than there is of the islands, and I think you probably got the problem because you're the closest island to Morocco, Algeria, etc., aren't you? So you're the first sort of island they see, I suppose, if they're coming across the water.
Well, the majority of them, Rich, are going to Formentera, and then from Formentera they come to Ibiza. From Ibiza they get repatriated. So, it's as I said, Rich. I think it's a conversation. I think we need to look for solutions. And in this week of all weeks, which is not the best, is not a good news week at all, Rich, is it? So that's just adding fuel to the fire. But we need to face it head on and look for solutions.
So, as you know, war has broken out in Iran, and the Americans and the Israelis have started bombing Iran. They say, obviously, from a nuclear deterrent point of view, that's the line that we're sort of being fed, and it's sort of created problems for quite a lot of sort of Middle Eastern countries, including, as we now Dubai, of course, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, basically the countries that are bordering with Iran, and they're sending missiles, drones, etc. out, and obviously probably quite shocking for the people of Dubai, I imagine. To be in that situation, and not a nice situation at all. Because, as we know, Dubai is probably one of the world's busiest airports right now, because a lot of people use it as a sort of a hub where they sort of might stop over for a day or so, or even just a few hours, to move on to another destination. So it was quite shocking. But I think what was interesting, I saw this in Parliament yesterday, that the Liberal Democrat leader, Ed Davey, said he was talking about expats living in Dubai. And, obviously they've moved away because, well, some choose to move away, not all choose because of the tax situation. That's what he was sort of pointing at. And while why they should be sort of repatriated by the British government if they're sort of non-paying taxpayers. And I thought it was quite an interesting thing. And I thought, well, okay, that's okay. How would that happen to us, if, for instance, if we were in the similar situation, Mark? I don't know, say, for want of something disastrous happened, I don't know what, something disastrous happened, and we needed to get off the island. Where would we go? Some might say we should go to the Spanish mainland because we live here and everything else. But I don't know about you and your boys, but my sons have British passports. Don't intend to give them up right now. We could all turn and become Spanish citizens if we wish. We don't wish to right now. So his argument was, well, if they're non-paying taxpayers, why should we repatriate them? Do you know what I mean? And it's an interesting one, because where do we go with this? Do you know what I mean? Where is he right? Is he wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, Rich. I mean, I know a lot of people live in Dubai. Ocean Beach, Ibiza have got a place in Dubai, so I know all those guys really well. Spoke to Paul Riches today. Paul, he's in Dubai at the moment. Sharon and Andy Bottrell are there. Another girl I know called Katie's there. Spoke to them all today. They say to me that it's kind of business as usual in Dubai, which I think is what Dubai is all about. They're going to shake this off. They're going to come back stronger because they've got the financial clout to come back stronger. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they're letting people stay in the hotels as long as they can. What was interesting, Rich, because obviously I'm in Australia looking to come back to Europe, checking the flights. I mean, everything more or less from this side of the world goes through Qatar, Dubai, or Abu Dhabi. So it really is that Gulf states there, and Bahrain as well, don't forget, that those 4 Gulf states which have been locked down more or less, they really do control a hell of a lot of traffic from the sky. So it just shows you something like this. It just throws a real spanner in the works. Ed Davey, listen, I haven't got a lot of time for Ed Davey because he comes from near me. He's got the 3rd biggest party in Parliament. You never hear from him, really, do you? I mean, it's all about Farage and the rest of them. I think he's got 70 odd MPs, but you never hear him. And I mean, it's silly because if you're a British passport holder, then you need to be protected. It says it on the passport. It says His Majesty's government or His Majesty's whatever will do their best to look after you. So that's one of the perks of having a British passport. And I've got to say, post post-Brexit, Rich, there's not that many perks these days, is there, of having a British passport?
No,
so,
true.
I hate to say that because I'm a very, very proud British person, but it's not there. As for Dubai, listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Dubai, Rich. I've got to tell you, I think it's a certain kind of place. So all those people who tell us it's the best place in the world, then maybe get yourself back in Europe and actually come to the best place in the world, which is Europe, I believe.
Yeah, and listen, I personally believe that we should be repatriating British passport holders no matter what. Do you know what I mean? Even if it means, listen, even if it meant, I don't know how I would feel about this. Making a contribution myself as a British passport holder to the military, if that makes sense, i.e., keeping the military going. I don't think I'd have too much of a problem with that. Obviously, depending on the cost, of course, that would be a different thing. I don't think I have a problem with it. But most people that have moved have probably played into the system anyway. I have, and you have. You know what I mean?
Of course,
so
and also
we should be entitled to something.
If you're a British passport holder, you're a British passport holder. End of. And the government have a duty to look after you. There's a lot of jealousy and pettiness towards Dubai and the Gulf states, Rich, because people go over there looking for a better life. And I do get it. And, they don't do themselves favours, those Dubai influencers who put on every day how great it is over there and how it's the best thing ever. There is a bit of jealousy. But listen, if you've got a British passport, then you deserve to be looked after because, as I said, it's one of the few perks that's left.
Agreed. What you got, Mark?
Listen, just explain to me one thing, Rich. How are mess per Mallorca perceived on your island? Out of interest.
Well, I think just use the first word, Mark, and you don't have to go any further.
I mean, they're raging lefties, aren't they? I think.
Yes.
Would it say that?
Forget about them, as far as I'm concerned. Forget about them.
Yeah, it's all right saying that, Rich, but as we said with the tourismophobia, it's the ones with the loudest voices always get heard, don't they?
That's true.
And their headlines last week, when it gets to the UK papers and it gets to the Spanish papers, where they say that Balearic Islands are going to outlaw non-residents buying homes. I mean, it's just, I feel duty bound to reply to it, even though I think it's a joke. And all it takes, Rich, is one influencer to put it online, and you've got all the sheep who follow the shepherd. You've got maybe 500,000 people who think it's gospel, but it's not gospel. So just to give you a bit of background, Mess per Mallorca, the left-wing party in the Balearic government, tabled a motion saying that unless you had a residency for 3 years, then you couldn't buy a property in the Balearics. Okay. Now, fundamentally, that goes against everything that Europe's for. So it was never ever going to succeed. Even if Mallorca's government was full of left wingers and they voted for it, it's unenforceable. It's anti-European law. It would have been thrown out more or less straight away. But the whole point of it, Rich, it's like the tourismophobia and those headlines is that we're garnering negative headlines again, aren't we? I saw this week there's someone put online, there was a list of rules that Ibiza are bringing in this year, and there was 100 comments saying how Ibiza had lost its soul and lost its way. I mean, these rules have been around for years. I mean, it's all rubbish. And as we've seen with the Dubai problem as well, I saw the ambassador for the UAE today saying, there's so much misinformation online these days that, you really got to go to reliable sources such as the Talking Balearics podcast, which, we talk the truth, and sometimes we don't like to, but we talk the truth, Rich, don't we? So, it was
exactly.
The comment really, Rich, is that, Mess per Mallorca, again, what a mess they are. They were looking for headlines. They weren't looking for anything realistic. So if anyone's out there thinking of buying a Balearic property and you've got a lot of money, then you're still welcome. And if you are, IbizaPropertyShop.com is obviously where to go.
Yeah, you knew it was. You knew in the end he was going to get a little plug in, didn't you? You knew it. Eh?
Listen, if you're in Mallorca, PriorityMallorca.com as well. So
thank you very much. Very kind. Very kind.
Give you that. So yeah, anyway, just a little rant about mess per Mallorca. We don't have them over here, Rich, but you're welcome to them.
Now, we don't normally talk football as early as this, but I think we need to get onto it this morning because Real Mallorca, literally after we did our podcast last week, fired their coach, Jacobo Arrasate, after about 18 months in charge. And it took us all a bit by surprise, really, to be honest with you. They'd obviously been gubbed the week before. They'd lost 3 games in a row. And I think the board just sort of suddenly looked and went, or panicked a little bit, I think, probably because they panicked in the fact that they didn't obviously have anybody in place to take over. They'd spoken to a few people I know. I'd spoken to a few friends of mine in the know, and I've been told that Luis Garcia Plata was one who was a former coach back in 2021. Yeah. He went on to coach Alaves as well. He was obviously a free agent. Also, Kiki Sanchez Flores was another one that was in. He's quite a well-known Spanish manager here, but I think the money for him was probably too out of reach for them to be able to get there. And then a name came out of the blue, which was Martin Di Michelis. As a Manchester City,
Man City player.
I was about to say, mate, it was an ex-Man City player. Yeah. You'll probably know him. He played, I think it was about, I can't remember how many times he played for Man City. I did have it written down.
He was only there 1 or 2 seasons, but he was a wily
78
a couple of seasons. Yeah, he was a wily centre back, and I think he was highly regarded by the management. So
more importantly,
Argentinian, Rich, is he?
Argentinian, yeah. He played 174 games for Bayern Munich as well,
right? Between
2003 and 2010. He was a centre half. His managerial career is sort of quite limited. He's been over in Argentina managing River Plate and Monterrey. He also looked after the Bayern Munich second team as well. Up until 2022. So it's his first sort of, I would call, European job anyway, let's put it like that. So it's a bit of a risk because obviously, he's not managed both in Europe and definitely not in La Liga. So he's got 12 games now to get us out the mire because we lost at the weekend as well against Real Sociedad 1-0. It was awful. I was there. Not great at all. He's got a former Mallorca goalkeeper called something, I can't remember his first name. Lux, his name is. He used to play in goal for Mallorca. He's German. He's coming as his number 2. So we'll see. It's 12 games to go. Let's see how they get on. They are playing Osasuna, I think, this coming weekend. If my memory serves me right, because I was looking at the games over the weekend. This weekend, we're away. Hang on a minute. Where are we? Osasuna it is, sorry, yeah, I doubted myself, and it was right, on Saturday. So let's see, Mark. There is still points to be had. There is still positions to be had. We're only 2 points behind the teams just above us, and there's about probably another 8 or 9 teams that could be dragged into the relegation zone. So let's hope that our man Martin does the business.
What's the word on the street in Mallorca? Are the fans happy with the appointment, or
the fans are unhappy with the people in charge? Basically, Pablo Hotels is one of the guys who they're not very happy with. Obviously, not enough investment in the squad. I think the players don't really seem to be playing for the shirt. There was a few white hankies being waved at the weekend, which I wasn't really enamoured by, to be perfectly honest, because they obviously have fired the manager because it was going in the wrong direction. So what more could there be done? And people have short memories of how our stadium used to look, how the team used to play, and the attendances that we used to get when we were owned by, first of all, Spanish people and Mallorquin people as well. So although we were run by Americans, I have no problem with them whatsoever. They've done some fantastic things. I think they've taken their mind a little bit off the ball with the squad. I think the squad needs looking at, definitely. And although listen, there's some good players in there. We've got the second top scorer in the league at the minute, Verdat Mariki. So we don't want to go down. Going down means basically starting all over again. So it's not going to be good if they do go down.
Well, your next 3 matches, you've got Osasuna, you've got away, Espanyol at home, and then you've got Elche away, Richie. That's going to be the one, isn't it? Elche away. You've got to get something out of that match.
And our last 2 games, Mark, are Levante and Oviedo. And Levante at home and Oviedo away. They're the 2 below us. Yeah. That's the last 2 games of the season. It might go. My son reckons it's going to go right down to the wire. So let's see. But I hope, as I say, there's 2 things about Mallorca playing in our league. I think it's great for tourism. I think it's great for the island. But also, more importantly, I think from a youth football point of view, it's really, really boys that are playing and girls that are playing in youth football can use that as an aspiration to try and make their way up to Mallorca as a football team.
Rents, Rich, it's a repetitive subject that we always talk about, but they've gone up again, Rich. Balearic Islands have gone up 8% in a year. Okay, 7.8%, sorry, in a year, the Balearics. and we are now second behind Madrid. So Madrid, obviously being the capital of Spain, is always going to have the big bucks behind it. And it's amazing that a 6-month resort can be second on the list, Rich. So to give you an idea, in Spain, they do rental amounts by meter squared. So if you rent a 100 square meter property for €1,000, for instance, a month, then it will be 10 euros per meter squared. So just to give you an idea, Madrid is now 21.3 euros per meter squared to rent a property. And the Balearics is 19.5. So we're less than €1 behind Madrid, which is incredible, really, Rich. If you think about the wealth in the country and the powerhouse, it's like comparing, I don't know, I suppose it's like comparing Cornwall to London, isn't it? Or Brighton to London. So, the fact that a 6-month resort can be right up there just shows you where we are in the food chain in Spain. Third is Catalonia, and they're 18.2%, 18.2 euros per meter squared. So, worrying times. We've talked about the migrants, more people coming for a better life, economic migrants, but there's no room at the inn, Rich. And if there is a room at the inn, it's very expensive indeed. So, think about that. At the other end of the spectrum, Extremadura, Rich, 7.4 euros a square meter. So maybe, just maybe, me and you want to go up there and do some fact finding, mate. We might be able to buy a house for 50,000 up there, Rich, or maybe even less. So, there are places in Spain which you mentioned before about sending people to, send people to the places where, maybe they need an insurgency of population. Maybe it's a little bit cheaper. Interesting enough, Rich, on the rentals, Catalonia have brought in a cap on rental prices, okay, which it wouldn't surprise me if the Balearics did it sooner or later, because we do tend to follow Catalonia now and again, being in that part of the world. So there's a cap in the Balearics, but what's happened? There's a cap in the Catalonia, but what's happened, Rich, is that less properties have come available. So it might have gone cheaper, slightly cheaper in Catalonia, but it's almost now impossible to find a decent rental in Catalonia. So you've got to be wary. I'm not in for capping, Rich. I think the market decides on the price for things, and it's a natural organic rise or fall. So, as I said, the rental prices in the Balearics are now at an all-time high. And just to give you some meat on the bone for Ibiza, let's see, let's go for over the last year, San Jose has gone up 18%, Ibiza Town's gone up 15%, and San Antonio has gone up 11%. So, tough one, Rich. Not a lot out there, I'm afraid.
No. So listen, I announced at the weekend that I am about to embark, or not about, I've got about 2.5 months before I do actually embark on a cycling challenge, a charity cycling challenge organised by 6 Points Mallorca. 6 Points Challenges they are. They are the guys that organise this particular event, and Brian Visser, who is a good friend of mine now. I've known Brian since he first started this. He started this challenge 10 years ago. And he's told me it was the 10th anniversary, and every year he's asked me to do it, and every year I've sort of politely declined. But coming into my 60th year, I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a go. Come on. Let's raise some money for charity. So 373 kilometres over 3 days. And we're going to the northernmost, the southernmost, the easternmost, the westernmost, the highest and the lowest point of Mallorca. That's why it's called the 6 Points Challenge.
Are you going to go do some serious training for it, Rich, or are you just going to go in?
I have been training. No, I've been training for about a month. I've been spinning at Megasport in Palma, training, and also I took delivery yesterday of my new bike.
Oh, lovely!
Mark.
Expensive expensive? Or?
Well, I've been lucky enough that I've got some sponsors that are looking after me. So I've got Liberty Sport, who are my bike sponsor. A guy called Danny at Liberty Sport has done a really good deal for me, which I'm very, very happy about. I also have a physiotherapist looking after me. Her name's Lauren. So you can pick up to Lauren, who basically stretches me out every week. I have a nutritionist, Nikki, looking after me from the nutrition point of view, making sure that I'm eating what I should be and drinking what I should be, etc. Not sometimes at the weekends, of course. And
I was going to say, I'm not going to pick you up on that, Rich, because it's a nice section. I mean, I'm sure you eat very well at the best of times, Rich, looking at you. So, you know.
All right, calm down. And also a place called Bodana. Bodana is a massage center as well. So I get a weekly massage from a lady that used to actually work for the Giro d'Italia.
Okay.
Who basically knows what she's doing and absolutely pummels me every week. So I've got 5 sponsors. They're all looking after me.
Fantastic.
I'm training at Megasport, and we're raising money for 5 charities. Great Ormond Street is a charity that I've obviously from my hometown of London. It's a charity that I've done a lot of work with for Pirates and through the radiothons we do on the radio. Sonespasses, the children's ward in Sonespasses is very important to us as well. We've been working them for, I think, must be a good between 5 and 10 years at Sonespasses. 6 Points has 3 charities underneath them. Asdika, they have SOS Animal and Shambhala. So those 3 charities are benefiting as well. Save the Med is a foundation that looks after the Mediterranean Sea in and around the whole of the Balearics. And Brad Robertson is a very, very good friend of mine. And I wanted to do something, obviously, to give back to the islands as well. And Yachting Gives Back is a community-based charity that looks after the homeless people here in Mallorca as well. So there's some great charities that do some great work, and obviously trying to raise as much money as possible. If you go to richiesrideathon.com online, you will see that's my website. That gives you a bit of an idea of what I'm going to do. And obviously there's a donate button on there, and you can donate whatever you can. And as I say, each penny I raise goes towards the Radiothon. Those are all the Radiothon charities as well. So if you didn't know, we also do a 36-hour live broadcast non-stop, which we're doing on June the 5th and 6th for those charities as well. So it's a double whammy, really. It's the Rideathon and the Radiothon happening. The Rideathon is happening on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of May. And that's all around Mallorca. And then the Radiothon is happening on the 5th and 6th of June.
Fantastic, Rich. And what's your target? How much you want to raise?
I don't listen. If I can tell you that between what we raised for Great Ormond Street through all the stuff we used to do with Pirates and all the radiothons, we're on €961,000. So listen, it would be nice to touch the million mark, but that's quite a big total. That's sort of €39,000 that I've got to try and raise, which I think might be a little bit too much. I don't know. I seriously don't know how well we're going to do until but all I know is that Mallorca people, Balearic people as a whole, because I've had people from Ibiza actually donate, and Minorca actually as well, are very generous people, and will, when charity calls, they come and give. So let's see. As I say, whatever I raise is going to go to some great charities.
Listen, I was in Sonespasses Children's Ward not so long ago. I do a fantastic job for the kids of the Balearics down there. And don't forget, they look after all the Balearic Islands, not just Mallorca. So that's a really important charity there, Rich. So fantastic. Now, before we go, Rich, 2 things I just want to mention to you. Well done on that, Rich, by the way, and I will be contributing. And you can be expecting a little bit of banter, should we say, along the way, Rich.
I'm sure.
Always. I'm not going to let you get away with it for free, that's for sure. But I'll be very happy to sponsor you, Rich, and a fantastic job. 2 things, Rich. First of all, Rich, I saw a thing coming out about the Prince William. What's the latest on that? Because the Prince William obviously is the really famous bar in Magaluf. We remember it from the Reps days, and it's probably the iconic bar of Magaluf, isn't it? What's the latest?
Yeah, so basically, obviously, the Prince William was below a hotel called the Taish that was bought back by the government or the local authority, and basically has been demolished in order to make a park, a sort of a local greenbelt land in and around that area. If you know, they're opposite EastEnders Bar, which is another iconic bar as well. And basically, I think this is something to do with all the foundations and everything else, whether the bar is actually safe to use or whatever. That's the sort of story I got. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And okay. I know obviously they haven't been able to open since they've demolished the hotel above them, basically. So they've obviously had problems with piping and lots of different things as well. So as I say, I'm not a fully up to date with what it is. I've obviously seen, I've read the reports on it and everything else. And yeah, it's an iconic bar, and it would be a shame to see it go, because obviously where it is, it's right on the right on the Torrenova border. It's the sort of Magaluf. We would basically call it, the middle part of Magaluf, and moving into Palmanova. Torrenova is the actual official name for where they are. So let's see. They're saying they're not going to move. The government are trying to move them, or the local authority are trying to move them, but they're saying no. Life's
moved. The market's moved on, Rich, hasn't it? Would it be the worst thing in the world for it not to open? I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I know the guys who run it. It's always been a fantastic bar, but has the market changed? I don't know.
The market has definitely changed, Mark, without a doubt. But, should that be the reason that you should be able to close a bar? Personally, I don't think so. But I agree. So let's hope that they can come to some sort of agreement that's good for both parties.
Definitely. Okay, Rich. And last one before I leave. Fisher has just been confirmed for UNVRS on Thursdays against Fisher, Australian DJ. He was the first to be confirmed for UNVRS last year, and he's going back. So we're going to start getting all these DJ announcements now over the next few weeks. So I'll try and bring him up. We'll get Dwayne Nolan on as well, because he knows far more than I do. But Fisher back in UNVRS Ibiza for 2026. And
did I notice? I think I sent you a story. Didn't I notice that Makepeace are making a comeback as well?
You're right. Yeah, Makepeace. I haven't read into it too much, but I think it's a 3-day festival which they're really pumping out. So for people of the 90s like myself and maybe yourself, that'll be a trip down memory lane. So let's get to the bottom of that, and we'll do a full report on that next week or the week after, shall we?
Good, man.
Great to speak to you, Richie.
And you, Mark. Take care.
I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you next week. Take care.